feel, Grandma. We worry about you. Please tell us a story about your job as a TV reporter.
Well, it was many years ago.
Inequality is on the rise. Aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic, it has taken away people's lives and dreams. Inflation went up, driven by food and fuel prices, disproportionately affecting the poor. In Asia and the Pacific, the pandemic has doubled the multidimensional poverty level. An additional 85 million people could have been pushed back into extreme poverty, living on $1.9 per day or less. We need to take urgent action, but how?
Our region is experiencing a highly uneven or so-called K-shaped recovery between countries and within countries, building forward fairer, ensuring an inclusive recovery from the pandemic and taking an inclusive development path is an imperative.
Thank you, Mrs. Scap. So, how do we leave no one behind? We can't simply return to normal, can we? That normal is blamed for inequality in the first place.
Governments should prioritize spending on healthcare, education, and social protection.
Of course, but increasing spending is not a golden solution. We must spend smart to heal the long-term scars left by the pandemic.
We need to prioritize universal basic healthcare services over everything else. Children receiving high-quality education from their early years is our priority. We must shield people in need, vulnerable groups and informal workers.
Tax fare should be the leading principle for obtaining budget revenues. Nobody and no company should avoid paying their share. Prevention is always better than cure. Before taxes and transfers, we must focus on pre-distributive policies. It's important that we set up countries for success through strong political systems that allow for checks and balances, strong institutional arrangements, and enough job-rich structural transformation that creates opportunities for all. Fast transformation and new technologies will be disruptive. Governments should act more proactively to guide their direction, shape their trajectory, and manage shocks for inclusive outcomes. Can central banks play a role in inclusive development?
We can and we should. I believe it's time for us to step up our game and tackle rises in inequality. Right now, only half of the central banks in the region are taking up an inclusive finance agenda, and it's such a missed opportunity. As policymakers, we can make the conduct of monetary policy more mindful about inequality. As investors, we can mobilize part of the $9.1 trillion official reserves in the Asia-Pacific region for social purposes. As currency issuers, we can explore how central bank digital currencies can foster financial inclusion. As financial regulators, we can encourage more use of innovative financial instruments for inclusive development.
Thank you, colleagues. In looking ahead, the Asia-Pacific region must aim for inclusive recovery to promote the well-being of both people and the planet.
Do you maybe have clear and ready-to-use guidelines to tackle inequality?
As a matter of fact, we do. Download the ESCAP flagship publication. Follow our recommendations for building forward fairer.
And it worked, right? It worked, didn't it?
Yes, it did.